Hey everybody, welcome to Valentine TV. Uh, First of all, I would like to say, I would like to ask everyone to give prayers out for Tattletale. Her name is Allie. She had passing in her family, death in the family, as we call it in the country. And I would just like for everybody to pray for her in her time of need, please. And I would just like for everybody. I'm sorry, I appreciate it so much. I only caught the tail end of it, but yeah, y'all already know my situation, right? But hers has passed on, and I want y'all, asking y'all to just pray for her family, her and her family, okay? Thank y'all so much, okay? I only caught the tail end, but I hope if Allie's watching, I'm praying for you, girl. Um, all right. So direction today is coming from TISA Tales, of course, and the verdicts, the what I call it, juror instructions have came in, right? So she's gonna read some of them out. I don't know what they really look like because I ain't never had to do it, but there are ways. But anyway, I'm gonna see how it goes. I didn't get to look at it or nothing, y'all. So I don't know. Okay, so here we go, y'all. And please hit the subscribe and like button as you come in. We made it up to what I put 886. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. All right, let's see what we got.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Listen, we got to get into this. The jury instructions just dropped. The jury verdict instructions just dropped. I was a little under the weather today, but I still decided to come out and actually celebrate. You guys, the prosecution has 100% proven their case. We have the jury instruction. Let me see if I get some light in here. We have some jury instructions to actually share with you guys, right? Excuse me, I've been sick, but I'm up. Okay. We have some jury instructions to send to you guys, but it is proven 100% that the prosecution has 100% proven their case when it comes to Sean Diddy Combs. And on top of that, Diddy's team tried some slick mess. The prosecution, Maureen Comey, came back and said, nah, not on my watch. Y'all, let's get into this because let me tell you something. Okay, I even took notes for this. It is so good. We have the jury instructions, the verdict instructions. We are going to go through them. We're also going to line up on how this is, but we're also going to talk about the legal finesse that Diddy's team tried to do that just actually fell flat. Okay, so where do we start? What do y'all want to see first? What do y'all want to say? This is all Diddy legally grasping for straws, okay? Now, let me give you guys a quick summary from my notes because I know some of y'all don't like to stay here.
Yeah, because I just want to do the jury instructions and run how, and then I think Sarah caught the tail end. Sorry, y'all. I heard my name mentioned as soon as I came in, though. I think they're praying for my mama. But yeah, but let's see. Yes, like for each case or whatever, she's gonna tell what was proven and how it was proven, and that may help some because me and my older son was talking. I kept saying, "Look, hey, they didn't prove the RICO. He did this, he did that, he did that." No, mom, that ain't right. Okay, son, we'll see. I can show you better than I can tell you when I see that big G on his back. That's what I said. But anyway, y'all, here we go. I'm trying to brighten up, okay?
For the whole 2-hour live. And yes, I'm doing this live off of my sick bed, so you're welcome, okay? So what is it, okay? This is the jury verdict instructions. The instructions are rules that the judge gives the jury on how to decide the case, all right? Now listen, these are the first instructions that Diddy actually showed. 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to take my camera down real quick, and I'm going to put these jury instructions off on whatever. You get the point. Hold on. So these are the jury instructions. Just give me 1 second, okay? Give me 1 second to get through these jury instructions. Here I am. I'll be back on in a second, right? But at the end of the day, this is what they actually wanted. Now, why is this so interesting? Well, because it needs to be said, where's little me? Little me? Is that me? No? Hold on a second.
I can't see it, y'all. Sorry.
No,
But she's gonna read
that's
them.
not me either. Put that down. Hold on 1 second. Give me a second. There I go. There I go. Okay, so let's get into this, right? These jury instructions. So this is what Diddy first tried to submit. Now, everybody was laughing at them because they said the defendant, Sean Combs, through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully submit these additional requests to charge the jury. Now, you know, Maureen Comey, Emily, and the prosecution 6 came and clapped back, but it doesn't mean that Diddy didn't try, okay? So the first thing he wanted was an additional request for number 1, okay? Now, let me just go through this really quickly. I'll give y'all the summary, and then we're going to see how they actually played themselves. Again, it is for certain that Diddy walked into the prosecution's trap, and he is 100% going to be found guilty, and not just on one thing, because they made a trap through these instructions that the jury can't get out of. But more importantly, Diddy's team kind of painted themselves in a corner where the only thing left was appeal, okay? The first thing that they actually said was, about the immunized witnesses, okay? He wanted everybody to know with these immunized witnesses that you've heard the testimony of the witnesses who's testified under the grant of immunity from this court. What this means is that the testimony of the witness may not be used against him in any criminal case, except for prosecution for perjury, giving a false statement, and otherwise failing to comply with the immunity order of this court. You're instructed that the government is entitled to call as a witness a person who is granted immunity. Let's skip through this. However, the testimony of a witness who has been granted immunity should be examined by you with greater care than the testimony of an ordinary witness. You should scrutinize it closely to determine whether or not it colored in such a way as to place guilt upon the defendant in order to further its own interests, such as a witness confronted with the realization that he can win his own freedom by helping to convict another, has a motive to falsify his testimony. Such testimony should be scrutinized by you. This is what Diddy is saying to the jury. By you with great care, and should act upon it with great caution. Okay, first of all, that is their first proposed jury verdict instruction. They're giving this to the judge, and the judge is going to wrap it up and actually give it. Now, everybody with a brain knows they are not going to get that. Why? Because it shows how desperate they are. You are literally trying to have a closing statement in your opening.
Yeah, this is the paper where each side, the prosecutor and the defense side, all had to give questions that they wanted to be given to the jury, and then the judge go over it and put it like he wants. Well, he's gonna put what he wants anyway, the judge. But they get to put a little input in, and that was just a little piece of what Diddy wanted, and that didn't even sound. Man, they had me confused. You know, I don't know.
Your opening instruction. Now, to be clear, right? Diddy can propose anything he wants, but the judge is not going to lose them. Why? Because the first thing off the bat is a legal overreach. Okay.
Oh.
You're trying to say with immunized witnesses that they have a motive to lie. Okay. First of all, it's legally inaccurate for the Southern District of New York precedent what immunized witnesses actually are. And it's going to be rejected or replaced with the prosecution's version. And the prosecution doesn't have a version. Okay. So already off the bat, they're trying to plant doubt in the jury's mind. Okay. This is what Diddy wants to do. This is fresh off of the court document. They are demanding that the judge basically say, and again, they are just fleecing Diddy. They're demanding that the judge basically say that, oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I'm trying to figure out, since they said it may be done in 2 days, the defense, 2 or 3 days, who do you think they're gonna call? Who do y'all think they're gonna call? Because Roger Bonds and KK, they up next. One of them at a time. They doing one at a time. After Diddy, it's gonna be one of them, and then after that one, it's gonna be the other. But anyway, I don't know who else they may have though. Let's see. But yeah. So this, I was just wondering who. I was like, what they gonna do in like 2 days? 2 days? Anyway, or if y'all think they're gonna be guilty, he's gonna be guilty or innocent. What do y'all think? Hung jury. Uh, what else is it? Hung jury. But I think it's guilty straight up. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I mean, I'm a woman, so I know. Y'all know women out there. Y'all know when the man can tell you, "Come here and I give you this," and you get all cute and you go and he trick you. That's coercion. Okay. All right. We just don't use it. We just don't do it. Don't be that serious sometimes to us. Do what they do, but it's coercion anyway. But okay. Let's see. I think she's doing the defense side first. All right. I just want to see.
Well, guess what? You know what? Since they're immunized and they're supposed to tell the truth, you need to look at them extra closely because they might be lying. Why? Because they have a motive to falsify their testimony. It is 100% not going to work. But hey, Diddy is willing to try anything he can. But again, this is expected to be rejected because it is unconstitutional to actually put this in jury. You cannot imply, you cannot have closing arguments. All you can do is instruct and clarify. To say,
yeah, y'all, it's up to God with all that. Yeah, I know that. I know that. Yeah, Deborah, I do. Sorry I didn't put it in there, but God knows. When they put the hand on the Bible, yeah, they know. They know. Some of them don't care though, but God got it. But I think God knows what happened. He knows. He knows. Okay. Deborah,
say
I'm
this
gonna get
person
you
might have a
good.
motive to lie, look into it, just goes to prove. And the prosecution actually said in their rebuttal, what the hell are y'all talking about? This is straight up illegal. Now, why did they put this in? I'll tell you why. Remember what Mark Agnifilio said? Yeah, I know my client has 50 million reasons. Well, guess what? Diddy's team has 20 million reasons. Diddy is paying them to work. They just can't act like they're nothing. They're throwing Hail Marys at the wall and they're doing what they can do. Now, the defense additional request number 2, right? Specific investigative techniques. During the trial, you may have heard testimony of witnesses in an argument by counsel that the government did not utilize specific investigative techniques. You may consider these facts in deciding whether the government has met its burden of proof. Because as I told you, you should look at all evidence or lack of evidence in deciding whether the defendant is guilty. However, you're also instructed there is no legal requirement that the government use any of these specific investigative techniques to prove its case. Law enforcement techniques are not your concern. Your concern, as I said, is to determine whether or not the evidence or lack of evidence of the defendant's guilt has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, this is actually expected to be rejected too. Why? Because what the hell are you talking about? You are literally trying to plant a seed of doubt in the jury's mind as to whether the government used correct investigative techniques. There was one cross-examination when Tinny Garagos was asking dumb questions. Oh, so you didn't look. Did you look? Did you look and make sure? And the girl was like, what are you talking about? My job. And the guy also was like, what are you talking about? Our job was to make charts. Our job is once the unit secured all their guns, we went and like took pictures. Oh, but you guys, but Mark Mark Agnifilio, did you bother to for the sweeping unit? Did you bother to take pictures? And they were like, no, we never take pictures. We have raided Pablo Escobar's property, and they go in first to secure and make sure all firearms are secured, and then after that, we go and take pictures. How do they secure it? They take all the firearms out, they lay them out, whatever. They spent 2 hours.
And as y'all come in, y'all, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Valentine TV. Please help me grow. I done made it to 886, y'all. Please come on. Okay. And the freezing this time is really not me. It's her computer this time, y'all.
But did you bother to take pictures? Tinny Greer goes, oh, so you didn't bother to check these messages? And the girl was like, no, my job is to take the messages that are given to me and match them to hotel receipts. But did you see these text messages where Jane was saying, oh, I miss you too, I'll see you soon? And they were like, no, we didn't do any of that, because our job was to line up receipts with air travel, with Uber receipts to show that they were in the city. Like, we're not here to quibble over what text messages are admitted or not. And also because we didn't even know what would be admitted when we made the chart. Why are they putting this instruction in? Because they want us to know, right? Hold on, y'all. They want us to know 100% that the government didn't utilize specific techniques. Again, it's not going to work. This is expected to be rejected, but this is what they're asking. Defense additional request number 3. Let me just get through this, and then we're going to get to the actual verdict instructions that the prosecution set forth. And baby, they have ended Diddy's team. Okay. So here's the thing, right? The specific investigation techniques, the legal function, right, is to tell the jury to consider missing investigative tactics.
I'm right here.
Again, they're trying to suggest a sloppy or a biased investigation. We already know that last time they tried to suggest this in court, the judge knocked it out. Okay. Now, you guys, this is their first proposal. Let me get through this quickly, because when you see the second proposal, they have a second proposal they just dropped like 20 minutes ago. You will see how they are playing in our faces. Okay. Defendant's testimony. Okay. Now, this is only if Diddy testifies, they want this included. The defendant in a criminal case never has any duty to testify or come forward with any evidence. This is because, as I've told you, the burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt, and it remains on the government at all times and the defendant to be presumed innocent. That burden remains with the government throughout the entire trial, never shifts to a defendant. A defendant is never required to prove that he is innocent. This is true, right? But, again, you are making an argument that happens at the end of trial, okay? In this case, the defendant did not testify, and he was subject to cross-examination like the defendant did testify, and he was subject to cross-examination like any other witness. You should examine and evaluate his testimony as you would the testimony of any other witness, okay? Now, listen. This is telling the jury to treat Diddy's testimony equally. It humanizes him. Now, to be fair, this is a standard instruction, just like the next one is if he does not testify. Therefore, you must not attach any significance to the fact that the given defendant did not testify. No adverse inference against the defendant may be drawn by you because he or she did not take the witness stand. You may consider this as a way of, okay, that's standard. That's going to get in there, right?
Yeah, so they're going to get it to the jury whether Diddy testifies or not testify. You know, you can't hold it against him if he decides not to. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to see. I can't see the words, y'all. Sorry.
But here's where it becomes really, really weird. They have this voluntary intoxication thing, which is Diddy basically saying this is not my fault. They said there's been evidence that the Diddy may have been intoxicated at the time of the offense with which he was charged. Intoxication or drunkenness in itself is not a legal defense to a criminal charge. However, intoxication or drunkenness may negate the existence of the defendant's intent to commit the crime that the government must prove in order to convict. On the evidence before you, if you find that Diddy was intoxicated, you may conclude that Diddy did not have the required intent described earlier. On the other hand, even if you believe that Diddy was intoxicated to some degree, you may still conclude he's capable of the required intent. After considering all the evidence, if you find the government has established each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt, then you may find the defendant guilty. On the other hand, if the government has failed to meet this burden beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. Now, here's the thing.
Yo, he be on too much Tucci to be drunk. That's my opinion. But he ain't drunk all the time to plan it, set it up. Anyway, y'all know he guilty. Y'all know he guilty.
Right? This 6 requests. Let's look at what they actually wrote. If you find that Diddy was intoxicated, you may conclude that he did not have the required intent. But again, the prosecutors wrote a response to this. They were not having it. In their response, they literally said, no evidence shows Diddy was drunk the entire time he was committing these crimes over multiple years. You don't get to blame sex trafficking on being tipsy. Again, Diddy is out here trying to argue, I was too drunk to commit federal level felony crimes for over a decade. This is not a defense, especially because the judge is likely to reject it, because that means you were intoxicated while you were performing at shows, doing the Bad Boy reunion, building $1 billion company. Remember, you said, oh, we're not a RICO, but then when were you not high or drunk? It is impossible to argue that you were not sober for over 10 years. They are saying that the request number 6 is 100% going to be rejected. But hold on, this is the first set of jury instructions, and then they just did a last minute proposal, but you have to see the last minute proposal before we get into anything else, okay? Now, the defense additional request for number 7, right? There's been evidence presented. There has been evidence presented regarding large quantities of cash. There's nothing unlawful about possessing large amounts of cash, and it's not a crime to keep large amounts of cash. Now, you guys, this is 100% going to be rejected. Why? Because you are literally trying to say bulk cash isn't illegal. While this is true in isolation, it feels like a closing argument defending suspicious facts. You don't get to make a closing argument in the jury instructions, okay? The request number 8 is crimes defined by statute only. The fact that you think certain conduct is unethical or morally wrong is truly of no consequences in this case. This is a huge, huge, huge overreach. They're literally saying that just because something is wrong doesn't make it a crime. He's basically asking, so what if I'm morally bankrupt, but that doesn't mean I'm legally clean? Again, they're trying to do Jedi mind tricks to trick this jury, saying basically don't believe your lying eyes, okay? It's giving legal gaslight. On top of this, this is another closing argument. It is an overreach. You don't get to remind people that just because you have to go by the crimes defined by the statute over. It really doesn't make sense. Hold on really quick. I had listen, and again, I know what some people might be thinking, why this sounds neutral on the surface. It's coded to plant the idea that bad behavior isn't necessarily criminal. Again, this is another argument, not instruction. Now, here's the real big thing, right? The RICO case.
Thank God.
They literally said that he's not in the RICO anymore by the statute of limitations. They said count 1 has a 5-year statute of limitations. Therefore, you must determine whether the RICO conspiracy charged in count 1 and the defendant's participation in the charged conspiracy continued beyond September 12, 2019. Even if you find that the charged enterprise existed beyond that date, you must be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Diddy knowingly participated in the charged RICO conspiracy of count 1 beyond September 12th. Okay? Now, Diddy's team is trying to claim the only way to stop a RICO is to claim that you left the RICO. So interesting enough, they're saying, listen, Cassie might be a Rico. Cassie might be sex trafficking. Cassie might be everything that Capricorn Car, Carrie, Mia, Kid Cudi, everything that everybody testified might have happened. But the statute of limitations ran out on September 12th, 2019. So because of that, oddly enough, Diddy is, I just want to talk about September 12th. Diddy is oddly enough trying to say that the Cassie was a hoe defense. And again, Cassie is not a hoe, but that's a dumb defense that Diddy and his incel army is trying to make, right? And the man identified women that are holding him up are trying to make. However, by doing this, Diddy admits that him and Cassie broke up on September 12th, 2019, not the November that he was claiming happened with Alex and the overlap. He's admitting that. Now, hear me out, right? They're trying to say by saying that even if you found him guilty.
Oh, she's going over what the document, like the, what we've all been talking about all, for the whole trial. Yeah, we know innocent to proven guilty, but she's just going like Rico. Okay, and this is what we just talking about us, like on her channel. That's what we discussed. And we think he did this. We think he did that, and that, and that. And don't take but two. But anyway, yeah, we just discussing about, what a Rico is and what coercion is, since people act like they don't know what a Rico and a coercion is. You know what I mean? That's all. I don't think she's doing anything wrong. We've already discussed all of this, all of the possibilities, fought with all the bots, all the people, free Diddy, and all of that stuff. So, no, but seriously, all she's doing is really saying what's really in what she's been taking notes on while she's been in the court. Yeah, but we don't know what the jury thinking though. All right. And they don't supposed to be watching this. All right. So that's what I think.
Guilty. Everything ended on September 12th, 2019.
And that's all I'm gonna get at your Ratchet TV, because he think like that date right there, he thinks that's when everything's supposed to really stop. But he don't know about the females that he got out here now, like the Jane Doe, the last one, and the Mia and the other, and whoever else was helping out, KK and all of them, that was after 2019. So it's been within 10 years. 2 within 10 years is Rico. That's what I think. I ain't no is now, y'all. My mind been playing tricks a little lately. On me a little lately. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
That means that they're trying to say that Cassie was the only real victim. And when it comes to the stuff with Jane, that doesn't count, because that's not part of Rico. That's something different. That's boyfriend-girlfriend behavior, okay? I don't know whose boyfriend is saying you better take this effing pill and you better go F somebody's blank. You better go F something because you're not ruining my effing night, right?
Yeah, I read
he
that.
He said that.
I heard that.
But the prosecution fired back. They said, no. Once you're in a conspiracy, you stay in it until you prove you withdrew. And Diddy hasn't done that. There is no clean break, clean walk away just because you shrugged your shoulders. And under the eyes of the law, if you are involved in a conspiracy, so let me just break this down, right? Say we have a conspiracy to rob a bank, okay? And we meet a couple of times at the local Starbucks, and you show me like Ocean's 11, the outline to the bank. You show me this, you show me that. And I'm like, bet. And then I go home. And on the third time I go home and I say, you know what? I don't want to rob that bank.
I ain't robbing no bank.
I don't want to rob that bank.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You call me the next morning like, yo, it's bank robbing day. I send you the voicemail. I don't talk to you. I don't do anything. That bank gets robbed, and let's just say a guard ends up getting banged, right? And let's just say the guard ends up dying. Now, when the boys in blue and the feds roll up to your house and they say, yo, you're getting arrested too, because there's a thing called felony murder. I think that's what it's called. So if you commit a murder in a felony and it's part of a conspiracy, then everybody that got you are all responsible. So everybody that was a part of the conspiracy to rob the bank has that felony murder charge, and you will all be put on trial for felony murking. Okay. Now, a lot of people have argued that that whole rule is unjust, but it is RICO. So let's get back to you and me. I left you on red. I didn't go. I'm out of it. When the police come and arrest me, I'm like, yo, no. I'm not part of it. But all you need to do for a conspiracy is to conspire and to take one step forward, one actual step toward the conspiracy. That one actual step further could have been me meeting you in Starbucks for a couple times and you showing me the maps of the bank and all this other stuff. The fact that I woke up one day and I decided just not to do it anymore, that's not enough to withdraw. You must, one, inform your co-conspirators, I am not involved. And then you must do something else. Then, after you do that, you must do something else. You must inform, hold on, y'all. You must inform the police or any type of, police, any type of authorities of what is going on in the conspiracy and tell.
They can call it snitching if they want. I don't care because I ain't going to jail for nobody. Well, I probably wouldn't even been at that first meeting, to tell you the truth.
Them, I am no longer a part of the conspiracy, and also alert the authorities. That is how you leave a conspiracy. If you do not do that, then you will be a part of that conspiracy to the very end, and anything that happens out in that conspiracy, good or bad, will be attributed to you. Diddy's trying to say that because he woke up one day and decided, I'm not going to do any more freak offs. I'm just going to have Jane in a house. That's not enough to withdraw from the conspiracy. Again, this is very...
Shoot, they kicked the darn house, the doors down then in Los Angeles and stuff when he decided that. when they did all that, that's why Jane Doe was at the house in Florida with you. Because they had already not kicked in the doors and stuff. And she was the only one left. Allegedly.
Very thin legal ice. It's the equivalent of saying, yeah, I was in the mob, but I quit before it got too hot. Nah. You're in the game until you prove otherwise. And there is zero proof that Diddy ever abandoned that conspiracy. Okay, so these are the actual legal arguments and the takeaway. Okay, this is what's going on. Just to run it down really quick, right? Again, why are they saying about the immunized witnesses that they want that in? That's just to undermine the government's key cooperating witnesses. The specific investigative techniques they want included, that's to suggest sloppy or biased investigation. Evidence from searches or seizures, that's a normalized, shady seeming evidence like device one. That's where Diddy had the actual obstruction of justice. Defendant's testimony, it's supposed to humanize him. Also, the right not to testify, I mean, that's standard, right? Silence does not equal guilt. Voluntary intoxication is to create doubt about intent because you need to have the mens rea. The mens rea is the mind. Also, the bulk cash. Defendants against optics of wealth equals guilt, and the crimes must be statutory to confuse jury and to muddy the waters. And the RICO statute of limitations is to create a technical escape hatch. Okay, out of all this, the only ones that every legal expert is saying the judge will include in some way is the evidence from search and seizures, defendant's testimony, if he does, and defendant's right not to testify. Okay, the specific investigative techniques, it's going to have to be rewritten if they allow it, but they basically said out of all those jury instructions, only 2 will be allowed, maybe 3, and they're all going to be the standard. Now, okay, so y'all see what's going on with that, but get a load of this, right? Because I know what you're saying. Listen, TISA, we got it, right? But you know, I'm going to beat a dead horse. But look what we have here. Diddy's team And a shocking thing, just
Well,
submitted a last minute jury instruction. And look at this. So you saw what they first put out, right? Now look at this one. Count one, racketeering conspiracy. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty? Count two. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty for sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? Count three, Mann Act transportation. How do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty? This is submitted by Diddy's team. It's in
that's
stark
crazy.
contrast from what they were doing before. Count four, how do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty for sex trafficking of Jane? Count five, Mann Act transportation of Jane. How do you find guilty or not guilty? Now, you might be saying, sitting there and being like, this doesn't make any sense. How can this be so night and day?
You know, everybody, they always hating on Cassie. So you know what they gonna put on Cassie's? Even though I think Cassie is a victim. I mean, he got her 18, groomed her. That's all she knew as an adult. That's why she went off on that freaking tape. Show me what you got, cause I will murk you. Show me what you got. You know, you supposed to be my brother. I will unalive you. Show me, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. I probably do it. I probably say those words depending on what. Like, but she did say, I'm recording this. I ain't never murked nobody in my life, but I will murk you. It won't be by my hands. She said all that. I was like, Cassie, you go, girl. Cassie, shoot, she was at her darn limit. Somebody, you gonna put a tape out on her? She want to see it because she can't remember what it was. And you saying you her brother and you wouldn't even let it. You know, if you my brother, you show it to me. Yeah, it's out. It's on. It's on. It's out. They got Cassie Ventura's tape, something like that. This on my page also because I showed. You know I'm gonna get it. But yeah, I like Cassie. I just emailed her yesterday. Okay, let's see what's up here.
Hey, well, I did a little research and we found it out, right? Because here's the thing, okay? Why did the Diddy's team go from long instructions to a straight yes, no verdict street? Because the big arguments are buried inside jury instructions to a bare bones verdict sheet that suggests guilty or not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It's not by accident, you guys. This is literally strategy. It's called keep it vague, 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 and create wiggle room. They are trying to avoid, even though they have all these verdict instructions that are like looming, and now they put these instructions that are just straight yes, no. It doesn't make any sense because look at the prosecutions, right? Hold on. Look at the prosecution's instructions. Baby, they have paragraphs underneath. Do you think it's proven or not proven? And we're going to get into those in a second, right? But look at the prosecution's instructions.
Well, it didn't.
And then look at the defenses.
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
Why? Do you find them guilty or not guilty? Again, what is the thing? The government's verdict sheet asks jurors to check off exact crimes tied to RICO. Let me pull it up for you. Here's their verdict sheet. They are asking for people to check off exact crimes. Exact crimes. Look at this. If you found the defendant guilty of count one, please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity the defendant agreed to will be committed involving kidnapping, attempted. Look at all this. This is their instructions, as opposed to the defense, who literally have it bare bones. Again, let's get into why. Let's get into why. Now, the government's verdict sheet asks jurors to check off exact crimes tied to RICO. Sex trafficking, forced labor, drugs, arson, etc. Why? Because this locks in factual findings. This supports future sentencing enhancements. Yes. So when Diddy goes to actually be sentenced, because he will be found guilty, when he goes to be actually sentenced, this actually enhance it. Those things that are 20 years to life, it forces the judge to move it up closer to life. Okay. and it helps survive appeals. But the defense verdict sheet avoids that entirely. Why? Because if Diddy is found guilty, they don't want the jury tied to why. They are playing a game. The less detailed the verdict, the more room that Diddy's team has for arguing general guilt without specific acts and avoiding mandatory enhancements, such as if sex trafficking is proven under federal law, you must mandatory enhance or add time to the sentence. Okay?
The judge probably gonna just on the if the judge don't want any of those, he already was gonna write his jury instructions anyway. He just said if y'all would like for me to add in, if y'all just pass them up and I consider it. So defense, y'all may not get considered because y'all got like that's crazy. Do you think guilty? Not guilty. Guilty, not guilty. Man, please. Nobody likes Cassie as far as I can see on the internet. So everybody will be guilty, 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 even though she's not. And she took a plea deal. So that's why she ain't sitting there with Diddy or behind Diddy like KK about to be. But anyway, but she's not. She's a victim. Everybody victims. And they took a plea, the ones that would have went to jail. KK didn't want to take a plea. They asked her to. She said no. She said no. And she got children. She said no. And then D-Rock, I don't know what's up with D-Rock. I don't know. But anyway, they coming after Diddy too. I mean, behind Diddy. One of them. I was thinking about Tyler Perry popped in my head. And then Oprah and TD Jakes with their little speech. Tripping.
By removing this detailed breakdown, and let me just go into the defense. Mm-hmm. By removing the detailed breakdown, right? Like, did he traffic Cassie? The defense is playing into jury fatigue and also jury sympathy. Saying, do you really want to say this man is committed to all that? Or are you just unsure and tired? The simplified form lets one or two sympathetic jurors block a unified finding of specific crimes, even if they agree on general guilt. Again, they are trying to stack this so that any jurors that Diddy might have been nodding to, and any jurors that might have been filling Diddy's flow, they now, right? They now have an excuse to convict on vibes. Now, where that happened, we will see, but they 100% have an excuse to convict on vibes. Now, hold on, y'all. Let's get into this, right? They're also buying appeal chips. If the government's detailed sheet is accepted, let's go to the government's sheet again, just so you guys can see night and day. This is what the government is asking. If the government's detailed sheet is accepted and the jury checks yes to trafficking Jane and Cassie, that's huge. But the defense version is used. If the defense version is used, and it won't be, and then the jury says guilty on count 1, RICO, then Diddy's team can later argue on appeal. There was no unanimous finding of which acts were involved. This conviction is totally unstable. So the less specific and more flexible they are, that they stay with these instructions, and the more vague, the more chance they actually have of getting that appeal. Now, here's the thing. The prosecution wants to lock in every crime with a receipts folder. Diddy's team wants it to be super, super vague, just enough for any type of doubt to skate in. There's been a huge difference legally between this man did X, Y, and Z to Cassie and Jane to, maybe he did something bad. The stripped down form isn't a legal defense. It is a Hail Mary in its appeal. Now, why is it a Hail Mary? Because Judge Aaron has been jealously guarding this case. When I say jealousy, just extra cautiously guarding this case from being appealed. He wants to make sure that there is no error and nothing will be appealed.
Exactly.
But by doing this, okay, he did pretty much ensure that Diddy's stupid yes or no jury questions that they have set up, because in his mind, he's like, that's all he needs to do, and then they can get into appeal. Again, why are they doing this? Well, one, it doesn't hurt to try. But two, I believe they're doing this because this is what Diddy is actually paying them for, to sell him dreams that are going to turn into nightmares. Now, look at this, right? Remember when I said that the prosecution is not going to let these jurors just convict on vibes? No prosecution does. Because if you convict on vibes, you can get a nullification, you can get a mistrial, but more importantly, nullification is where they look at the jury and they're like, there's no way, given the facts, that any reasonable person would have decided that person is guilty. It's like if I can prove I was in Kathmandu and there was a murking in New York City and I was in Kathmandu and can prove it. If the jury comes back and say, TISA's guilty, I can literally be like, I want a jury nullification. There's no way that based off of the evidence that they can say that I actually did this, okay? But there's also something about the appeals process. By the prosecution with their jury, with their verdict sheet being so detailed, it eliminates Diddy's team saying, well, we don't really know. I don't think the jury knew what they're convicting on. Did they really say it was Rico, or did they just think it was guilty? Listen to this. If you found the defendant guilty of count one, then please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant agreed upon will be committed involving kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, or conspiracy to commit kidnapping in violation of California law. That is what the Capricorn Clark. They want to know specifically what the jury ruled on with Capricorn Clark, and also when Diddy held Cassie against her will in the hotel when her face was busted up, and also against her will when he tried to drag her back to the freak off. If you found the defendant guilty, please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant agreed would be committed involving kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit. Again, this is sample. Remember I said there's a kidnapping charge for Capricorn? That's A. Kidnapping for Cassie, that is B. Again.
See, and that's how you do it, Lord. Diddy, you know, y'all know the darn judge ain't gonna put that darn guilty, not guilty, and that's it. Man, that's too easy. It's too easy for them. We gotta know why. Put why in there. Under that, put why. Guilty for what? They probably wouldn't even fill it out. But anyway, y'all, we ain't gonna go through the whole thing. I just want Rico and I want coercion. And everybody know what the other stuff is. I hope.
Some of y'all might be saying, but TISA, it says up front, how do you find the defendant with respect to count one? It says guilty or not guilty, okay? However, the way the jury verdict sheets go, they do the A, B, and C first before they finish the guilty or not guilty. And get this, it's meant to get the jury talking. For the people that want to convict on vibes or convict on it or off of vibes if he's not guilty or guilty. Because if I go in there and I'm like, yo, this mofo's guilty, I'm going to check that off. And then for the people that check off guilty, like, okay, if you found that, what do you find for this count? What do you find for this count? What do you find for this count? Okay. But it also opens up the discussion with the other juries, the people that checked, he's not guilty. The people that check guilty be like, girl, what you mean? He's not guilty. Do you not remember this? Do you not remember this? Do you not remember this? How could you say that? And it gets the jury going. It gets conversation started. It gets arguments started. But also, if there's a hung jury, they know exactly what points were hung, because you might think that he is not guilty, but you can't say that none of this stuff happened. So what exactly are you saying you didn't see proof of? Are you saying you didn't see proof of the kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that the RICO that the defendant, are you saying that the RICO that the defendant agreed would be committed involved arson? Didn't involve arson, attempted arson, including aiding and abetting? Are you saying you didn't see that? Right? Are you saying that you did not see, you don't believe he did any bribery, attempted bribery, aiding and abetting bribery, or conspiracy? Again, the arson, obviously, the Kid Cudi, the bribery, Eddie Garcia. They have text messages, phone calls, paper bags.
All
They
of it.
they even have pictures of IDs that were sent. They have an NDA. They have an NDA. Diddy trying to be so slick. There is an NDA under Combs Global saying you have given all evidence. They have text messages of KK being like, just tell them they were having a fun, drunken night. And the assistant, Diddy's current assistant, I think his name was Eli. The past one was like, well, they're not buying it. Before KK and Diddy reached out to Eddie Garcia without even him giving the number. They found his number. Again, do you see how these jurors, even if they are falling for Diddy's nodding, do you see how the letter of the law and also peer pressure makes it impossible? If you
Shoot, that made Diddy seem good to himself. He probably sitting there looking all crazy. And they kept telling Susan, so I know you. Then strange people following her around, and it was just weird. I did a video on that too, y'all. Reaction, rather. Yeah. I mean, it was just weird, y'all. So next week gonna be crazy. So I'm gonna be locked in. I'm gonna try to wake up early. I'm gonna try.
You check not guilty.
Okay.
They're gonna run down. So you don't see evidence of arson. You don't see evidence of bribery. They have to show that they believe that evidence was not proven. Again, this goes into jury nullification and also appeal, right? Also, do you find that the defendant agreed that he did tampering with the witness or victim in violation of federal law? You know, I see a lot of stuff in violation of California law. I wonder if Diddy is going to have a state case with California, because there's a lot of this in violation of California law. Also, the defendant agreed. Do you think that he committed forced labor? I don't think they have him on forced labor in violation of federal law. I don't think they have him on forced labor, only because Mia was supposed to be the forced labor, and Mia didn't land well, in my opinion. I think she was being honest and truthful, but I just don't think she landed well on the jury. So I don't think they have forced labor, but who cares? They don't even need that. Do you think that it involved transportation for purposes of prostitution, whether the RICO activity that the defendant agreed would be committed involved transportation for purposes of prostitution? See, here's the thing. A lot of people are acting like that. Transportation for purposes of prostitution doesn't exist, and it's not that illegal, but it is. And if you say not guilty, that means that you have to say that wasn't proven, even though there are hotel receipts. See, here's the thing. Diddy's team is playing for social media. The prosecution is playing for a home run. Diddy's team spent so much time talking about, but did you see these text messages? Did you see these messages that, oh yeah, baby, I can't wait. Okay, fine, great. But you realize it's illegal to hire prostitutes and fly them in. Not only did you fly it across straight lines, you even flew them out to Turks. All right. If you found, do you agree that the defendant agreed to commit a RICO involving inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution? We already have that with the travel logs. We have that with Jane. We have Cassie flying in. There's text messages, there's call logs, all those boring summary charts that we had to sit through, they were for a reason. Again, for the people that believe that Diddy is not going to be found and the jury's going to let him go, how can a juror say that all this didn't happen? Whether you believe that Cassie or Jane was a victim, you cannot honestly say that he didn't fly or induced induce people to travel for purposes of prostitution. You can't say that. There's text messages everywhere. If you found him guilty on the RICO, do you believe that he committed a RICO involved distributing and possessing with intent to distribute controlled substances in violation of federal law? Now, I know Brendan Paul, who literally is trying to erase his involvement with Diddy and make it seem like he was working for a fine, upstanding man, when the truth is, all the other assistants said they had bottles of pills, 500 pills. They were moving weight. Jane was bringing actual packages over. So even though Brendan Paul's like, I never saw anything, shut up. You never saw anything and you got arrested? Okay, boy, right? Again, it's true. Do you believe that? Also, do you believe whether...
Wait, I wanted to ask a question. Why do y'all think Brandon Paul answered in the way that he did? I mean, he can't get in any more trouble. Y'all think he's still trying to? He thinking if he try to go out for a job or college or something, this is gonna come back, or are they gonna? Didn't they promise to expunge the record or something? Sorry, y'all, I had to take something from my darn headache. But but yeah, I don't. I hope the jury ain't out long there. I tell you, man,
As part of the racketeering conspiracy,
they shouldn't
Diddy
be.
agreed or did commit sex trafficking to Cassandra Ventura between in or about 2009 and in or about 2018, and whether, as part of the racketeering conspiracy, he agreed to or did commit sex trafficking of Jane between May 2021 and May 2024. Now, here's the thing, right? Because they're going to put the statute next to it. The sex trafficking does not have to be continuous, and it only needs to be one time.
Right.
When he sex trafficking by frogs, I know a lot of men want to act like that doesn't exist. When he told Jane, we're going out to Turks, just me and you, to celebrate your birthday, I promise you don't have to freak off. And then they got there and he had the escort waiting. That was sex trafficking by fraud. It was a person.
Okay, I had that as coercion, y'all. My bad. But anyway, I knew it was something wasn't right.
Involved in the Commercial Sex Act, okay? And there was something of value exchange for the person orchestrating it, okay? And the person involved in the Commercial Sex Act. But on top of that, when the night he beat up Jane, second instance, where even if he didn't believe anything else she said, there's bruises and everything to show. The night he beat up Jane, okay? And he said, you take this effing pill. You're going to take this effing pill. You ain't messing up my night. You're going to have to something. You're going to have to F something. You ain't messing up my night. When he said all that, right? When he said all that, was that not an instance of sex trafficking by force? Not only that, Cassie being dragged to the room by force. Cassie, after she OD'd, being forced to keep performing by force. You only need one instance, not a bunch of multiple, not one person with no, you need one person with one interest. They said, do you believe it in Cassie? Do you believe it in Jane? Even if you don't believe it in Jane, baby, do you believe it in Cassie? And if you believe it in Cassie, gotcha. We got you, we got you, we got you. We got you. Oh, wow.
Oh.
One sec.
Oh.
1 second. I just got a tip. Okay.
I forgot what I said.
Count two. How did you find the defendant, Sean Combs, in respect to count two? Transportation with intent to commit prostitution. We can argue about whether Cassie was in on it or not. She was not, but we can argue. But if you don't believe that she was, did you do transportation with intent to commit prostitution? You did. You bought her over because you wanted to see her freak off. You wanted to see. Boom. Did you find transportation with intent to commit prostitution? Okay. Did you find sex trafficking in Jane? Did you find transportation with intent to commit prostitution? You 100% did. You admitted to it. You called it a lifestyle. So what are we really doing here? You guys, the final instruction. Yeah. Once you have considered all the questions, please have the foreperson sign and date the verdict sheet and notify the marshal that you have reached a verdict. Do you see?
Yo, that was a easy, if it's worded just like that. I mean it, yeah. And then it's got relating to Jane, relating to Cassie, relating to whoever. But yeah.
See what I was saying when I said, you guys, they're not going to get away with this on vibes only. They're not going to get away with this on vibes only. Okay.
Shoot. This is my first time seeing a court sheet. Instruction sheet ever in my life, y'all. So if it's like that, then it's easy.
Rudolph said Jane Doe was having FOs with the escorts without Diddy being present. No, she wasn't. Somebody said that Jane Doe was having FOs with. This is what I mean about the misinformation. Where did y'all hear?
They talking about when she went to Las Vegas and they thinking she did with uh Kanye and his wife. That's what they talking about. And then she said helped set up some to surprise Diddy with. But they talking about but doing it by herself. If she went to Las Vegas, and if she did, but she's saying all she did was raise a shirt and that was it. But no, I ain't heard nothing about her doing it. That we just assumed she did it.
Hear that? Jane Doe was not having freak offs with the escorts without Diddy present. She went to a Vegas party where she saw the escort doing a freak off for Kanye and Bianca, but she wasn't involved. Right. So she never had a freak off without Diddy present. That is a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But you know what? I'm glad that everybody is really honestly spreading this misinformation and literally getting in on these lies, because when Diddy is found guilty, y'all gonna feel all the more stupid, and it's gonna be on some free Tory stuff where all the evidence is there, and y'all gonna be hoping till y'all 90 years old that there's an appeal. There's gonna be mystery people coming out, this and that. Oh wait, hold on. One second. Can y'all hear me? All right, hold on. I got to charge a little bit. But again, there's going to be mystery people coming out, right? There's going to be mystery people coming out, telling some bull stuff, doing this, doing that. Oh, I got a story about Kanye and Diddy. I think I know why Kanye's doing all that stuff, but we're going to have to talk about that later. Let me charge this really.
I ain't heard no. I ain't
really
been on
the thing. So there's a whole thing with like the Kanye and it's like y'all just gonna feel stupid, right? Oh, Rockman said thanks for the update. You're welcome, Rockman. Y'all gonna feel so stupid when this stuff comes out to be Rico. But again, it's gonna be impossible for the jury to skate by. Now, hear me out on this one, right? Because y'all know I have one more thing to actually show you guys. I want to draw your attention to something very, very, very important. And it's something that I want to, where are we at? No, that's not it. Is this it? No. Is this it? No. Oh, here we go. There's something, wait, is this it? Do I have this up here? Hold on, y'all. I want to call your attention to something very important. I'm going to have to, it's not this. Wait, I think it is. No, hold on.
What?
Let me just change this and see if I can change this really quick. Okay, here we go. Okay. I actually think that we need to actually take a look at the original superseding indictment. And the superseding indictment was the last indictment they did, and it is the fullest, best representation of all the charges against Diddy. Okay. Now, why you might be saying, TISA, por qué? Why are you showing me the superseding indictment? Because
to prove a
one, I love being right. I love it. It's just the sweetest thing I've ever known. I love being right. But what's the second thing? Because I love proving idiots wrong. And this is for the people in the back, okay? Y'all realize that as much as these, couch chair legal people are saying, and I don't give a damn if you got an Esquire, I don't care how many alphabet letters you have behind your name. Okay? I don't. You cannot deny legal fact. And there's a lot of people you see from Diddy's paid people that are trying to deny legal fact. Now, what does that mean when I say they're trying to deny legal fact? Because
I think that's why I like TISA so much, because she's saying she's younger than me, of course, but she remind me of my younger self. I'm trying to tell you, I don't give a crap what. If you're wrong, you're wrong, and I'm gonna do everything to prove you're wrong. I mean, I am. Besides, go to jail or get hurt or something. You know, I back up sooner or later, but I'm gonna give you all I got. And TISA be having me laughing. I love it. I love it. Who don't talk? People be saying she's so over dramatic. I don't think so. She's just acting out what she's saying. That's what we do. Some of us do that, especially us country people. You know I do. Shoot. I know my friend Deborah know who I'm talking about. He act his out, I bet. Because we can't help it. Down here in North Carolina, no. That's what we do. We cut a fool at the family reunions. But anyway, but that's TISA. She reminds me of the younger me, okay? That's all. And I can relate. All right. Darn, y'all, what? I didn't even tell her to play it. I forgot. I don't know how to make it play in the little box. So I have to make it big. And then I hit the play and pause like that, y'all. See now?
As much as people are saying, oh, I don't see Rico. I don't see cacketeering. I don't see any of that. Well, do you know what you should see? Do you know what you should see? You should see the fact that in the indictment, they literally listed federal crimes. Their job in the courtroom was to prove that Diddy committed federal crimes. And as much as some of these Diddy loyalists want to cry and scream, yo, I don't see it. Okay, it's boyfriend, girlfriend. Okay, it's Stevie. What else? As much as these people don't want to admit, everything listed in this indictment is a federal crime. You might not think it's a crime. You might do it, but you're not a federal judge. You're not a federal prosecutor. Right. So instead of being like, oh, this is what the defense testified, and this is what, well, the defense didn't testify anything. This is what the people testified, and I don't think this and that. I don't see Rico. Let's go back to the indictment, because whether you agree that this should be illegal or not is different from the fact that everything they listed was, in fact, a federal crime. So with people got on the stand and they proved these things happen. No matter how minor you think it is, no matter how insignificant you think it is, no matter how much of a lifestyle you think it is, then it's illegal. They proved it. You going to jail. So I said, you know what? After the whole thing of trying to point.
Y'all, just like they was talking about kid cut his car, they talking about, that ain't true. He didn't blow it up. The point is he burnt the man's car. Some of the seat was burnt, y'all. It was still, he still tried to blow it up. Okay? Somebody that he paid, that you know what I mean. But they saying because the car didn't blow up, they didn't prove arson. That is the craziest thing. The man's car, the seat still burn up. that got me. I was like, these people are crazy. It's like when somebody like tried to break in my car just because I had a little thing bent. I still got paid for it because somebody tried to break in my car. They didn't get in it, but they still messed it up a little bit. Anyway, enough about me. Here we go. And nice to meet you. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Charlie. And y'all, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And welcome back. Welcome to Valentine TV. All right. Here we go, TISA.
Now, this person, no. Let's go back to the federal indictment because everything in this indictment was illegal. That's why his ass is sitting in jail right now because everything in this indictment is illegal. So the only question was, were able to bring witnesses? Could they prove any of this? Could they prove any of this? Well, I'll let you be the judge. Sherry Scott, thank you so much. So for the next person that says, I don't see Rico, stop explaining to them what Rico is. Tell them to go look at the MF and indictment because the MF and indictment that got him arrested and got him sitting in jail, the indictment knows what Rico is. And all they had to do was show that it happened. But okay, so let's get into this, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Count one, racketeering conspiracy. Okay. Diddy has abused, I believe they prove he abused, threatened. Oh, he threatened Jane Doe with her releasing her blackmail tapes, and he threatened Cassie with releasing the blackmail tapes of the freak offs. How do we know this for a fact? Because they showed the messages where they were both running and crying to KK, do something. He's out of his mind. We know for a fact he abused. We saw the video. We know that he threatened Cassie and Jane Doe. And he coerced Cassie for record career, Cassie with the blackmail, Cassie with promises. If you just do this, Jane Doe, if you just do this, I promise I'll do this. Women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation. I think they prove that Diddy didn't want anybody to know. That's why he was checking in under aliases. That's why he was having people sign NDAs. And this is also why he beat up Jane Doe that night. You're not going to take me from my kids. Protect his reputation. Remember how everybody, all those assistants, Diddy got me hyped. I'm sorry, I'm cursing. All those assistants that were saying, I think he's a great man. He taught me how to be a man. He was a great person. I think he's the best man in the world, right? Yeah. Which makes me think Stevie J is probably sitting there saying, he's my man. But all jokes aside, all those people saying how Diddy was a great person and how they just wanted to protect and they just wanted to do this and they did this. Even Brendan being like, they were like, why did you take the drug charge? Out of loyalty. I wanted to be loyal to my boss. Again, the RICO. This is the filing, the indictment that got him arrested, because everything listed in here, no matter what you think, is in fact a federal crime and illegal. So they protected his reputation, and they went out of their way by holding Cassie in the hotel room, keeping the girls out of sight with the black eyes to conceal his conduct. To do so, Diddy relied on employees. Did they not have the employees? They testified. Everybody's like, Brendan said the drug mule, the fact that the drug mule got on stand and said, I actually don't think it was that much. I think it was more like for personal use. Thank you, Mr. Drug Mule. You may go. Y'all, wrap it up.
Sorry.
Wrap it up. The drug mule said that he doesn't think his boss is a crime. It's a criminal. The drug mule said that he didn't think having that much was criminal. You guys, the drug mule said he doesn't think it's a big deal. We can wrap it up. It's fine. Did you guys hear this? The drug mule said that his boss is innocent. We can wrap it up. We can wrap it up. Like the fact that people were running with that story. Brendan Paul said. Brendan Paul is an MF criminal who's trying to protect his criminal boss. But that's my opinion, right? Anyway, my whole point is Brendan Paul didn't do any favors because, right? He relied on employees. Did he not? All those employees.
Listen, y'all remember, I don't know who all watched TISA, but I do. And y'all, after Brendan got out of that like rehab place or wherever they sent him once they got him caught, y'all know that, I don't know if it was TMZ. I don't know who it was, but him and Diddy met in a back alley. I'm a text. I can't wait to tell you. In a back alley, and him and Brendan Paul, they was just standing there talking, and Brendan was looking around. This is before any court, before Diddy got arrested, right? And they was just looking around. The car came riding by, and he put the camera right on Brendan and Diddy in the back alleyway of looked like some kind of apartment complex or something. Yeah, I'm gonna go find it. Can't believe it. I'm gonna tell you so she can break it up. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I thought of that. Yeah. See, Brendan was scared too. Y'all should have saw him.
Employees pledging their allegiance to Diddy. They were all pledging that they happily did his bidding. Rico. Resources. Well, we already saw the chief financial officer that couldn't say that he thought Diddy was a good person. We saw the chief financial officer and all of the accountant emails from Robin Greenhill, or whatever her name is, using the company's resources, the company's cars, the company's apartments, the company's houses, the company's everything to fulfill his sexual desires and protect his reputation to conceal his conduct. I'm just saying. Just saying. Oh, also, Mrs. Blackmon, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to go through all the super chats in a second. I just want to get through this, right? And influence. Did he not use his influence? Did they not, with Eddie and everybody else, bring him to the house and give him tea and let everybody know no? Of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other things, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Okay? Keep in mind for RICO, you only need to prove 2 of those criminal things.
Right.
Okay? He operated the business headquarters at various times in Manhattan, Los Angeles. Just also don't forget with kidnapping, when Capricorn Clark said that she had to show up every day, but that guy gave her a lie detector test to see if she stole his jewelry, which, by the way, didn't nobody steal the jewelry. Diddy was just messing with her. At all times relevant to this indictment, Diddy engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. That's already been proven. The abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and definitely sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, he manipulated women to participate in orchestrated performances of sexual activity with Diddy and at times with male commercial sex workers. Has that not been proven? Now, I know there are some people being like, oh, with Jane, she got charged to the game. Who hasn't lied to their girlfriend and told her she wanted a relationship and all you wanted her to do was to take this pill and like hop up on this blade and do a full split? I get it. But again, we are not arguing anymore what the average person thinks. Everything listed in this indictment is illegal. So if there's any proof that he did any of this, that is illegal. Okay? Diddy and others acting in his direction made arrangements. These are his assistants and KK and his security for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Diddy's location. He ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Again, y'all, I don't want to be a broken drum, but what they just exactly pointed out was sex trafficking by coercion and fraud, and they have proved that he obtained and distributed narcotics. Brandon said he didn't. He thought it was personal use, but it wasn't. He had enough to share. Controlling their careers. We saw what happened with Cassie. Leveraging his financial support. Remember in Jane where he was texting her, yeah, you got to do this on the voicemail. You ain't going to be living in my house and not doing freak offs.
Yeah.
And threatening to cut off the same.
That's a job.
And he used intimidation, the blackmail, getting up on them, yelling, shouting, breaking things. And of course, he used violence. There are 2 instances that he can prove. So let me just also say this with crime. One of the reasons why they throw the book at you if they can catch you once is because people do not walk around with camcorders and filming people. I know you think it happens, but it doesn't. Most crimes, there's no real record of it. Yeah. Most crimes, somebody forgot to pull their camera out. Somebody wasn't recording. Because the crimes don't happen with forward thinking. They happen in the moment and people are just stuck in the moment. What does that mean? It means that when the government gets any shred of proof that the crime happens, they throw the book at you because they assume that if it happened once, it's most likely going to happen again. Okay? Physical abuse. On numerous occasions, from at least in about 2009 to continue ways, he assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects, and kicking them. That's been proven on both women. His violence was not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to abuse, and others. Mia and Capricorn Clark, Dawn Richard, she also testified to that too. Again, the evidence is there that it actually happened, okay? On one occasion, his Los Angeles hotel, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, Diddy kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Diddy attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Did that not happen with Eddie Garcia? And they got everything approved. Again, everything written in the indictment was a crime. The feds have proven, so far, they have proven everything with witnesses. So it don't matter what these crusty dusties are. I don't see. You don't need to see, baby. You're going to see when it comes to sentencing. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, he attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Subsequently, Diddy, with the assistance of several close associates, paid the hotel security staff $100K for the hotel surveillance footage of the assault. Again, federal crime, and they proved it. Diddy, including certain employees, he had them carry out, facilitate, and cover up his acts of violence, abuse, and commercial sex. All those employees saying, the girls seem like they enjoyed it. Sir, but you're on the stand to say, did you help set up a freak off? But the girls enjoyed it. Maybe. Did you help set up a freak off? Yes or no? Yes or no? Well, yes, but okay, thank you. Next, right? Cover up the violence. Did his security team and not even KK cover up the violence? Cover up the violence and the abuse? Did they not? Put her ice on it, don't have her around, having Jane around with a black eye. Did they not do that? Did they not do that?
You right.
They did. Sounds like RICO. Sounds like sex trafficking. Sounds like everything in the, and this is what everybody lost sight of. It sounds like everything in this MF indictment. They approved. This is the indictment. Everything in this indictment was illegal. You see how Diddy's team keeps trying to move the ball? This is what people were saying that the government couldn't prove. The government has 100% proved this. Yeah. Now people are arguing on whether they think that should rise to a level of sex trafficking. It don't matter what you think. This is written on federal statutory law. All right? Those employees, including security staff, bing, 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 household staff, bing, 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 personal assistants, ding, 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 and high-ranking supervisors, KK, KK, girl, they talking to you. KK, I think you're going down next. You're getting the Ghislaine Maxwell treatment. First, they're going to take down Diddy, and then they're going to take down you. I do want to say this. I was talking to my girlfriend, Alfie. What's up, girl? If you're watching this, probably not. I put out so much material. She's like, I'll just call her and get it straight. But think about this, and it's something that has to be thought about. Y'all think KK was in love with Diddy? Yeah. Because why isn't KK flipped on Diddy? Jamie had this thing too, that KK was in love with Diddy. Diddy, every woman around Diddy, he had a very close relationship with.
I heard when he first saw KK that he did, the essay with her. That's what I heard. And then somehow they ended up still being cool and close. So, I don't know.
KK was in love with Diddy, I believe.
I think.
And it might have crossed the lines in the physical sometimes. I don't know. I don't know what they do in their rooms, in their bedroom. Well, I know what Diddy do in his bedroom, but I don't know what KK does.
Everybody.
And it seems like KK's loyalty, because KK is obviously a smart person, but it seems like her loyalty to Diddy bordered on you are loved and obsessed and you want to protect him. You want to help him. Or at least that's just my guess, right? And other close associates acted as intermediaries, and their contact was facilitated and assisted by Diddy's control of the business. They go in.
All right. I'm going to stop it right here. And if y'all want to see the rest, you can go to TISA Tales on YouTube. But I think it's proven. Rico sent you to jail for what, 20 years? Something like that. Anyway, so y'all, thank y'all for joining me on Valentine TV. I'm gonna find something else. I thought about shoot. Oh yeah, Charlotte, you right, dude. It won't be complicated now. And then what makes it bad, KK got them, she got children. Lord. But anyway, it won't be complicated now. And Gina, you can come out. Miami, you can stop trying to get yourself together for him because he ain't coming back to you either. And anyway, y'all, I'm gonna find something else. It just left my mind, but it'll come back. There's so much up in here, y'all. But anyway, thank y'all, and y'all please don't forget to pray for Allie. She's lost one of her family members, and yeah, I know I'm always asking for prayer for me, but you gotta pray to send prayers to her. I prayed. I pray again for her, but yeah, she lost somebody in her family. All right, I know that's right. So I'll talk to y'all later, okay? Thank you, Deborah. Deborah the man, she always over here on me. She always keeps me company. And I appreciate it. Thanks for subbing, Charlie. I appreciate it. And anybody else who subbed or just came to watch, I appreciate it. And don't forget to hit the like button. And I'll talk to y'all later, okay? All right. Bye, y'all.